Good evening and welcome back to News 11. I'm Julia Skiba.
And I'm Kellyanne Hender.
We have a lot of exciting stories to cover, so let's get started. It's been a rough week for Fredonia Village Hall, with water system issues, staffing concerns, a power outage, and even a health scare for the mayor. A boil water order was lifted on Friday, but only after crews repaired a water main break on Burnett Drive. At Wednesday's Board of Trustees meeting, financial struggles dominated the discussion. Both the police chief and code enforcement officer argued for more staffing to keep up with demands. Trustees ultimately approved the hiring of a new firefighter despite ongoing budget concerns. Some board members expressed reservations about adding staff while the village faces financial uncertainty. Mayor Michael Ferguson was absent from the meeting after undergoing a heart procedure. In his place, Deputy Mayor John Spurson led the discussion and said updates on Ferguson's condition will be shared soon. On Thursday, a blown transformer knocked out power to about 1,000 customers, including Fredonia High School, interrupting after-school activities. As the village works through these issues, officials are considering a special meeting to discuss immediate budget cuts. However, no date has been set for that discussion.
Three long-standing faculty members of the Fredonia School District are slated for retirement. The Fredonia School Board has just approved retirement for 2 teachers and 1 mechanic for the district. These approvals include Beth Merwin, a high school social studies teacher, Lisa Forbes, a 5th grade teacher, and Randy Penharlow, a mechanic and groundskeeper. Merwin is a respected member of the faculty and is cited as a cornerstone of the department by Superintendent Zillox. The teacher took to teaching challenging courses such as AP United States History and AP Human Geography. Lisa Forbes taught the 5th grade with passion and commitment, making sure every student felt included in the classroom. Last but not least, Randy Penharlow dedicated himself to maintaining the building with a calm but dedicated demeanor. These retirements will be effective as of July this year, just in time after the school year comes to a close.
Head coach of recent Super Bowl champs Nick Sirianni will be inducted into the Chautauqua Hall of Fame next week. The 43rd annual banquet will take place on February 17th at the Lakewood Rod and Gun Club. He's being inducted for his superior coaching for the Philadelphia Eagles, bringing them to have the 3rd best winning percentage in the NFL since hiring in 2021. He is proud of his hometown and personal roots as his career hits new highs, and his hometown is proud of him.
The Mayville Winter Festival is making a comeback this President's Day weekend after being canceled last month. Thanks to the nonprofit Inspire Good Western New York and strong community support, the festival will still take place, though on a smaller scale. Organizers have worked hard to bring back the event in a short amount of time. Festival goers can look forward to an ice castle, fireworks, sledding, live music, and a kids zone. Carriage rides, food vendors, and other community activities will also be available. A shuttle service will connect different festival locations throughout the weekend. The festival kicks off Friday at 5 p.m. and runs until Sunday at 4 p.m. A special ice castle lighting and dedication ceremony will be the highlight of the event. Organizers say community involvement has been vital to keeping this tradition alive. For full event details, visit the Mayville Winter Festival on Facebook.
One thing that you can count on during a Western New York winter is potholes. The potholes on Main, Delaware, Elmwood, Grant, Seneca, and Clinton seem to be the worst on the streets. The Buffalo Public Works Department has been working to respond to calls of potholes. When you call the line 311, there's a 48-hour response guaranteed to fill the holes, weather permitting. The PWD reported that they have gotten more calls than normal this winter season. The asphalt they are patching with right now is only temporary, but it is better than nothing on these bumpy roads. If your car suffers significant damage from a pothole, sometimes your local government will cover the cost if you file a claim.
Cheryl and Maggie Lamparelli of the Buffalo Bakery are organizing a heartfelt event for this Valentine's Day. They have invited community members to their shop in Allentown to take photos with their pets, which will then be attached to Valentine's and delivered to senior residents of Mary Agnes Manor. Cheryl has said, quote, "We just wanted to be able to bring some joy to those people that may not have anyone else bringing them Valentine's," end quote. Since their Valentine initiative has begun, they have gotten more than 50 pets to participate in making cards. Community members have until February 13th to participate in their Valentines.
CertainTeed, a Buffalo company that makes fencing, railing, and decking, will be closing over the next month, leaving 100 individuals out of work. They have yet to give employees any further information aside from their statement that they will be closing soon.
Feedmore, Western New York has recently experienced a burglary at their indoor farming facilities this past weekend. Early Saturday morning, a suspect supposedly broke into multiple Feedmore vehicles along with the facility, stealing equipment and causing significant property damage. Feedmore is currently looking into the damages and figuring out if it will impact their ability to operate as usual. A police report has been filed and the incident is under investigation.
Niagara University in Buffalo has been providing students with a unique opportunity at one of the largest sporting events in the world for nearly 20 years now. The, quote, Super Bowl experience, end quote, allowed students from the university's College of Hospitality, Sport, and Tourism Management to travel to Super Bowl to work behind the scenes and give them a first-hand look at what it takes to put on a major sporting event. These students had a chance to apply their skills from the classroom with responsibilities such as working the gates, welcoming fans into the stadium, and providing directions to various events. Not only does this event give the students an unforgettable experience, but it helps to shape their future by allowing them to understand what goes into putting on a big event. Many students had the chance to interact with professionals in the industry, learn and figure out what they want to do with their future through this event, and add a new experience to their resume.
A federal judge in Buffalo has ruled that a hearing will be held later this year to determine whether Peyton Gendron, the 19-year-old responsible for the racially motivated shooting at the Top supermarket on Jefferson Avenue, will face the death penalty. Gendron, already serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole on state charges, now faces federal charges that could lead to the death penalty. The judge has ordered that Gendron appear in future court hearings, which will include witness testimony, although he has previously waived his appearance. John Elmore, a Buffalo attorney representing some of the families of the victims, said, quote, "The defense has offered to plead guilty without the possibility of parole. They want to do everything they can to avoid the death penalty," end quote. Psychiatrists and forensic specialists would likely testify about the developmental stages of the human brain during the hearing. The death penalty trial for Peyton Gendron is scheduled to begin on September 8th, and the legal battle surrounding this case will continue to draw attention to the devastating impacts of his actions on the Buffalo community. And when we return, we will have your national stories. We'll be right back.
To Sofia and Gabriel, mis flores, my little flowers. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love, so you can take me with you wherever you go, near or far. These stitches and threads join us together. Me, your mother, and both of you. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you as you bring our colorful stories to the world.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
All major plane and helicopter debris have been recovered from the deadly airline crash on January 28th in Washington, D.C., just outside the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. An American Airlines plane collided with a Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac River. A scan was performed using advanced imaging to try and locate all of the missing pieces from the crash. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration conducted the searches this past Saturday between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. All of the pieces have been taken to a secure airport to allow for further investigation.
The residents of Los Angeles are still recovering after the devastating wildfires that engulfed the area earlier this January. The fires, which scorched nearly 40,000 acres, left at least 29 people dead and damaged or destroyed approximately 18,000 homes, schools, and businesses. Thousands of displaced residents have returned to find their neighborhoods in ruins and disrepair, with much of what's left likely laced with heavy metals, asbestos, and other toxins. Many communities such as Altadena and Pasadena are determined to rebuild, though it has begun to consume their lives and toll on their mental health. Residents are facing vastly different options for recovery based on the strength of their insurance coverage and their personal finances. California's Attorney General has already warned more than 200 hotels and landlords against price gouging rent, and his office has also told homeowners to be wary of illegal, unlicensed contractors. Climate scientist Daniel Swain pointed to the weather whiplash California has experienced in recent years, saying, quote, "It's not just that drier conditions are perpetually more likely in a warming climate, it's that this oscillation back and forth between states is something that is particularly consequential for wildfire risk in Southern California," end quote.
Several supermarkets across the country are starting to limit the number of eggs customers can buy, including Costco, Trader Joe's, and Kroger's, due to the avian flu. Trader Joe's stores across the country have limited purchases to 1 dozen eggs per person per day. These limits are to help ensure that as many customers who need eggs are able to purchase them when they shop. Kroger confirmed that while there is no national limit in place for their stores, some of their locations are limiting based on availability, allowing only 2 dozen eggs per customer. Due to the avian influenza, more than 40 million egg-laying birds have died, causing the price of eggs to rise 14% from November to December alone, and they are projected to rise another 20% this year, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The increase in cost of eggs has affected other businesses as well, with Waffle House now adding a 50-cent charge for every egg they sell at their restaurants. They plan to continuously monitor the price of eggs and adjust or remove their surcharge as the market conditions allow them to do so.
The Super Bowl halftime protester has been confirmed to be a part of the show. During the Super Bowl halftime show, a demonstrator came up on stage holding up a flag with the words Sudan and Gaza written on it. He was seen entering the field while security chased after him before standing atop a black car and waving the flag towards the audience. New Orleans police stated the man to be an adult black man, but have not yet confirmed who the protester is. An artist by the name of Zulkarn Tambu publicly claimed to be the protester to media outlets. Despite the claim, no arrest has been issued for him, so the police have not made any move against him. Not only that, but Super Bowl staff have confirmed him to be one of the performers behind the halftime show. The demonstration was intended to raise awareness about the events taking place in Gaza and Sudan. In both areas, hundreds of thousands of civilians have been harmed in a brutal conflict between two parties.
Sammy Arbrid, a Southern California resident, returned to his home after evacuating last month's devastating wildfires to discover an unexpected guest lurking beneath it. Arbrid found a 525-pound adult male black bear living beneath his residence. The bear was able to survive the wildfires without injury thanks to his creative thinking. Local residents have named the bear Barry, and he seems to be a reoccurring visitor in the neighborhood. Barry was discovered when Arbrid and his wife started hearing noises underneath their house. At first, they assumed it was just a small critter, but after sticking a camera below the home, they discovered a massive bear. Fish and wildlife biologist Kevin Howells, along with a team of 8 wildlife employees, spent over 24 hours luring the bear out of the crawl space, thanks to a rotisserie chicken and some creative thinking. Barry has since received a welfare check and a GPS collar and was released into the Angeles National Forest.
This past Friday, a Stradivarius violin sold for $11.25 million at an auction, just falling short of the record. The auction at Sotheby's in New York City started with an opening bid of $8 million, which then quickly rose to $10 million, where the bidding then ceased. The auction house expected the instrument to sell for $12 to $18 million, as it was a Yamaha violin built by Antonio Stradivari back in 1714, Cremona, Italy. The violin was noted for being played for decades by Joseph Joachim, one of the most famous violinists of the 19th century. The violin was then acquired by Sihon Ma in 1967, and after his death was donated to the New England Conservatory, where they have held onto it for the last decade. The conservatory has said that the proceeds will go towards a scholarship program. And when we return, Jenna Polito will join us with our sports update, and we'll have your first look at the weather. We'll be right back.
We've been down there. You gotta do the same. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. For selective service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. For selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
We are now joined by Jenna Polito, who will be giving us our weekly sports update. What's going on in sports, Jenna?
Thanks, Jules. This past Saturday, the Fredonia Blue Devils hockey team fell 2-1 to SUNY Canton. The first two periods were scoreless, and each team scored once in the third period, forcing an overtime, where Canton eventually took home the victory. Fredonia's goal was scored by David Sudbrink, and goaltender Charles Anthony Barbeau made 34 saves. The Devils will head to Potsdam and Plattsburgh next weekend. Fredonia women's basketball team also had an upsetting loss last night when they fell to SUNY Morrisville 61-56. Jasia Snellick led the Devils with 11 points, and Mary Coulton and Alexi Neggers each earned 9 points. The Blue Devils were able to keep up for most of the game, but Morrisville ended up securing the win. While there are 3 games left for the season, this was the last game the girls will play at home. Men's basketball also fell to Morrisville last night with a score of 74-71. The game was tied at halftime, and even with the 2 minutes left in the game, unfortunately, they weren't able to secure the win. Brandon Kulowski and Tyrese Fuller each had 17 points and 10 rebounds. The Blue Devils will travel to Buffalo State on Friday for their next game. Heading into professional sports, there is more bad news ahead. The Buffalo Sabres fell 6-4 this past Saturday against the Nashville Predators. Buffalo goals were scored by Bowen Byram, Rasmus Dahlin, Alex Tuck, and Dylan Cousins. Goalie Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen had 17 saves. Due to the Four Nations face-off that kicks off today, the Sabres won't be back in action until February 22nd against the New York Rangers.
So I was going to ask you about what you thought about the Super Bowl, but I hear that you didn't watch it.
Yes, I actually...
Tell me why.
It was a conscious choice not to watch the Super Bowl. I think, honestly, myself, like a lot of people in Buffalo, I'm just tired of seeing the Chiefs, although I am glad they did lose. It just wasn't worth the heartache to watch for a few hours.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yes,
I understand that.
I did see the halftime
I was
performance on YouTube.
Did you at least see that part?
Yes,
Good.
made sure to do that.
That's good. Well, we are now joined by Kellyanne for our weather forecast. What do you have for us?
Thank you, Jules. Today we saw a typical winter day with a high of 32 degrees and a low of 31 degrees. It felt much colder with the winds and had a real feel of 23 degrees. There was some light snow throughout the day, which turned into some freezing rain as well. Tomorrow we will see a high of 39 degrees with a low of 16. We will still feel that chill as the winds will continue up to 25 miles per hour. There will be an 80% chance of snow throughout the day as well. That's all I have for your weather this week. Stay tuned for your weekend weather. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much. So when we return, we are going to have your international headlines. We'll be right back.
This one's for the real ballers and shot callers, the Sisterhood of Women in Tech. They're discovering cures, building apps, and programming the blockchain. They're CEOs, worldwide hustlers who can make it rain. They're tearing down the old boys club and seeing big gains. Because when women in tech come together, you know they make that change.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles, watching each other's backs,
and banding together.
we should still make an effort
We should still make an effort.
to get to know each other.
On a deeper level.
Father,
Cosplayer,
Mentor.
actor.
it's time we take a step forward
It's time we take a step forward. Come together
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
How prepared is your family if a hurricane shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a blizzard? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
The Greek island of Santorini has been getting hit with earthquakes for the past month, and the strongest one has just been recorded. Since January, more than 12,800 earthquakes have been detected by the University of Athens Seismology Laboratory. On Monday, the island experienced an earthquake with a 5.3 magnitude, which is the strongest during this recent seismic activity. Tremors can even be felt in Athens, measuring a focal depth of 10.6 miles. Landslides have occurred in many parts of Santorini due to the frequency and intensity of the tremors. Locals have also been seen patrolling dangerous areas to deter tourists from taking photos on cliffs. Thankfully, no injuries have been reported in terms of residents and buildings, and more than 11,000 people have left the island. Santorini will remain in a state of emergency until March 3rd.
This past Sunday, Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia officially switched to the European Continental Power Grid. These countries were synchronized to Belarus and Russia's power grid. The switch to European energy arose after a decision to cut ties with Russia and Belarus after decades of collaboration. Kajikali, an EU foreign policy chief, stated that the switch was, quote, a victory for freedom and European unity, end quote. The energy grid was Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia's final remaining link to Russia.
This week, Paris is putting on an AI summit. This comes from President Macron's concerns that France is, quote, lagging behind, end quote, in the race for AI. His concerns stemmed from fear of Europe becoming an AI consumer and thus losing control over the direction of future technology developments. Mistral, a Paris-based company, is considered OpenAI's European competitor and boasts itself on also being a competitor in the US due to its computing power. However, it doesn't rival the lower-cost Chinese company DeepSeek. In fall of this year, Macron hopes to enter the race for AI with the debut of Europe's largest supercomputer. Macron has expressed that the summit this week will serve as a, quote, wake-up call, end quote, for Europe in regards to AI. And after the break, a look at Ed Sheeran's pop-up show in India, Kendrick Lamar's halftime show performance, and SNL's 50th anniversary episode. We'll be right back.
We've been down there. You gotta do the same. Post office, all you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. For selective service, it takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. For selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service.
Ed Sheeran recently got into some trouble for playing a pop-up show on a busy street in southern India. He had not received permission to be playing on the street, and the authorities pulled the plug during his hit, Shape of You. He asked for permission, but it was denied due to the overcrowding of Church Street that already exists. It was only worse with the artist singing, so a citizen called to report the violation. Sheeran claimed on Instagram that he did have permission to play there. Clips and stills have been circulating on social media of the event, creating conversation about the validity of the shutdown. The large number of Ed Sheeran fans were disappointed by the shutdown and because of the action, because all have tickets to see 2 or more shows he has left in India before his tour moves on.
Famous artist Kendrick Lamar performed at the halftime show for this year's Super Bowl. Oftentimes the star event for millions of watchers, the halftime show is an iconic staple of the annual sporting event. Leading up to the event, Lamar was already in the public eye when he won 5 Grammys just a week earlier. This year, Kendrick Lamar opened the event with famous actor Samuel L. Jackson dressed as Uncle Sam. The performance then proceeded like normal with songs such as Squabble Up, Humble, DNA, and Peekaboo. Lamar then sang the fan favorite song, Not Like Us, with some of the lyrics removed for a wider audience. At the end, he was joined by dancers during his other songs. During his performance, a protester went on the field and waved a flag promoting awareness for the Gaza-Sudan conflicts. It is said that the protester was a part of the cast meant to be on stage, but the flag was not planned. After that, Kendrick Lamar ended the show with his song TV Off, marking another successful performance for the artist.
The long-running sketch show Saturday Night Live has unveiled the initial lineup of stars who are set to be featured on the upcoming 50th anniversary special. The anniversary special, which is set to air later this month, will celebrate the decades-long history of SNL. With the help of Paul McCartney, Steve Martin, Tom Hanks, and Scarlett Johansson, just to name a few. On Valentine's Day, Peacock will live stream what they will be calling its own homecoming concert. The concert, which will be hosted by Jimmy Fallon and will feature performances by Lady Gaga, Chris Martin, Bad Bunny, Post Malone, Jelly Roll, and many more. Peacock previously released a 3-hour documentary titled Ladies and Gentlemen, 50 Years of SNL Music, which was produced by Questlove and chronicled decades of the show's most memorable musical moments and performances. Peacock also released a 4-part docuseries called Beyond Saturday Night, featuring a behind-the-scenes look at the inner workings of the show through interviews with former writers, producers, and cast members. The anniversary special will air live on NBC on Sunday, February 16th at 8 p.m. on Eastern.
So, Jules, tell me, do you watch SNL?
No, I don't, and I wish that I did, but I think I'm going to watch this because it sounds really interesting.
I only
to
ever
me.
see the clips on TikTok when they get popular, so hopefully I just see the whole thing through TikTok.
Yeah,
but
you definitely should.
I'm kind of excited for it because they have a lot of good people, so it seems like it'll be really good.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, now we're going to toss it to Jenna one more time tonight for the end of the weekend weather. How's it look, Jenna?
Thank you, Kellyanne. Friday, we'll start to see it get even colder with partly cloudy skies and a low of 17 degrees and a high of 21. We will again feel that cold with winds between 15 to 25 miles per hour and higher wind gusts possible as well. Saturday will warm up slightly with a low of 31 degrees and a high of 35. We have a potential winter storm on the way with an 81% for some rain, which will turn into snow later on as the temperature decreases. And Sunday, we will see that same potential winter storm with a high of 34 degrees and possibly dropping all the way down to 7 degrees. There will also be a 96% chance of snow all throughout the day, so make sure to bundle up. And that's all I have for the weather this weekend. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Jenna. That does it for News 11. Thank you to our behind-the-scenes crew. We'll be back next week.
And as always, thank you to everyone watching at home. Have a good night.